Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous episode 158. I'm your host Rico, here with my co-host.
That's me, Mr. Dan Cody. What's happening?
My friend Mr. Dan Cody and I get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and or whatever the hell we like.
Yeah.
And yeah, mostly video games.
You know it, brother.
What are you, a wrestler now?
Yeah.
My man.
I got you for 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay, I don't get that reference, obviously.
Really? Spider-Man? The original Spider-Man movie?
Oh, yeah, that's
He's
right.
in the ring.
That's right.
Like, I got you for 3 minutes.
That's where he got the name, right? Or he came up with the name?
Yeah.
Is it like that in the comics, or is that just for the movie?
It's pretty similar in the comics, to be fair. That first Spider-Man movie in the early 90s was pretty faithful to the comic books, actually.
I meant in terms of that's how he came up with the name Spider-Man.
Yeah, I actually think it was given to him in the comics. I'd have to go back and really read it. It might have been Spider Boy or something like that, but yeah, it was somewhere along those lines. So
nice.
Yeah.
If you remember last week, I was prepping for my big garage sale.
Oh yeah.
Just as a quick update, because everyone was super concerned and chomping at the bit to see how I did.
Right.
I made 100.
How'd you do?
Go ahead.
How'd you do? Did you sell everything?
No.
Including the kitchen sink?
I did get rid of a bunch of crappy toys that I didn't want.
Fair enough.
So I made $169. Which is kind of nice.
Nice.
I
see what you did there. Not 170, 169.
169. I did probably give away a couple things.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. My mother... I made a huge mistake, though, at the start. Not really much of a mistake, but...
I don't know, because you just said it was a huge mistake, so...
My mother-in-law...
You went from a huge mistake to, well, I don't know, it wasn't really a mistake, but...
My mother-in-law brought over a PS2 and a pile of games.
Oh, okay.
And literally, brought it out as the garage sale started. And there was a guy sitting outside of my house. In his car, waiting for us to open.
You sound surprised by this.
I do, because I didn't advertise that I was going to have games or anything.
Right.
And then,
but it's a garage sale, which I'm assuming you did advertise, right?
It was advertised because it was our community garage sale. There was something 30 plus houses in our neighborhood that were part of it.
Uh-huh.
So obviously there was an unusual high amount of traffic for everyone because of the big group thing. And it was in the paper. Whoever organized it put the addresses and stuff in the paper, but
right.
Anyway, this guy knew.
Dude,
I don't
people
know.
like fucking garage sales. I'm talking some people, that is their weekend, man. They go into the paper, they circle them all, they figure out a plan so they can hit as many as possible. And I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. I may or may not have family members that this is what they do.
I'm surprised.
So when you're telling me that there was a guy sitting there waiting for when you guys started, not surprised at all.
It's crazy. You know what really surprised me? I'm surprised there ain't some freaking reality show on TLC, or maybe there is and I just don't know about it, that follows garage sale shoppers. Because it's almost
don't give them any more ideas for terrible.
It's almost like the Storage War guys. There was definitely a circuit of people that came by. We had, I don't know how many people. We had a lot. I lost count, but easily I'd say at least 100 different people came by.
Right.
It was because the community thing probably helped a bunch with all the high density of garage sales.
For sure.
There was definitely a bunch of people that were known to each other. There was guys passing by saying hi to each other by name in the driveway. And
hey, George. Oh, hey.
Yeah, exactly. I'm these guys are total garage sales
here.
Circuit dudes. And, some of them just basically run up and you got any fishing gear? You got any, they're looking for their little certain niche.
Yeah, man, they got a niche and they just go for it, right?
Anyway, dialing it back. This kid, he kind of caught me off guard because my mother-in-law was like, oh, here, I got this. It's been in my closet for 2 years. And it was actually Teacup's old PS2. And basically,
did he know that they were giving it away?
I don't think he knew, but he gave it to his mom and forgot about it. So he was happy with the money because she just gave it to him.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I don't know. I was like opening and getting ready because it was a funny thing. A lot of people, like a ton of people who came by, I was like, you're the only garage sale that's in the garage. Like, we parked our cars out on the street, and I had tables around my garage, and it was all... Yeah,
because normally they're yard sales nowadays. Nobody has a garage sale.
It was
anymore.
all organized with, like a store staff set up with, like, tables around the garage. Like, so all my tools and stuff that wasn't for sale was behind the tables, and then you kind of had, like, this U that you could walk in and see everything.
Right.
And anyway, we just opened the garage, and already someone's there. Like, just instantly got out of his car, starts walking up, and... I'm dealing with this bag and this pile of games. I'm like, I don't fucking know. And then he's like, oh, I'll give you $50. And I just feel like I made a mistake in how fast he was to offer it up and just like want the stuff.
Right. And you're almost thinking like, was there something in there that I hadn't seen or didn't notice?
Like I was like half distracted. There was some decent, it was
like a non-red copy of Symphony of the Night or something like that.
No, it was PS2. So I don't think a lot of PS2 stuff is too valuable.
That's fair.
The system was pretty shoddy and the controllers looked terrible. They were very dirty and gross. But there was some good games, and I just feel like, God damn, if I didn't get blindsided, I probably would have picked out a few titles and, held on to them.
Right.
And, been no worse for wear and still probably would have got $50 for it. But I don't know, whatever. It's neither here nor there. I haven't turned on my PS2 in 10 years, so...
There you go.
It's not like, it's a mistake, not mistake.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Not that it was mine. And I think Teacup was happy with the $50 he got because he completely forgot about it.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I got rid of some of my junky toys. Some of them I kind of almost gave away, but at the same time, again, they were in my crawl space in boxes and storage. And it's all stuff that I just have no affinity for. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So now I want to get rid of more of it.
It's hard because I know what you mean. You're trying to get rid of stuff, but at the same time, you're like, oh man, it's like, yeah.
I actually I got rid of some of the Energon Transformers and Armada Transformers.
Right, yeah. You were talking about that last week, saying
I got rid of a bunch of the McFarlane soldiers.
Yeah.
That I had. I got rid of 8 of them. And then... nobody wanted any of the Spawn stuff.
What?
Yeah, I have tons of Spawn figures.
Dude, you should have told me. Fuck, I'll take some of them.
Because I was doing Spawn. They're brand new in package. I was doing I marked a bunch of stuff and I wasn't trying to get top dollar. It was $10, $10, $15, and $20. As stuff got bigger, and then it was buy 3 of this. Buy 3 $10 items, get 3 for $20. Get 3 $15 items, for $30, and so forth. Yeah. So kind of like a stacking discount. So some people took advantage of that. And that's how I got rid of a lot of stuff. Got rid of some old Halo. I had a couple Master Chiefs and stupid stuff that were new in package. And this guy's like, oh, I totally want Halo stuff. You got more? Because I only put 1 out. And then he ended up taking all the stuff I had in my basement. I had a couple more figures and a warthog, and I'm just like, here, take it.
Fair enough. That's fair.
But yeah, I want to get rid of more of it. I got so much junk. The money's nice.
Yeah.
Especially.
And then you're it's, I have such a hard time. There's times when I'm no way, I want to keep it all. It's great. And I love it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And then there's times when I get rid of it. And then I'm talking to somebody about it later. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have kept that. That was great.
I just boiled it down to the stuff's been in storage for
as long as it has
9 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm not, I don't even, it being there, not being there, really, it's almost like it doesn't exist to me, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I got rid of a bunch of it. Well, not a bunch, some of it. Now I'm going to do another. I think I'm going to do another one in the middle of June. But then I will hype it. I will put it around and basically have toys, Transformers, Spawn, more detailed. And then those types of people will show up. Because I didn't do that. They just knew it was a garage sale.
No, that's fair.
because I really want to get rid of more stuff. And then I might actually throw some old consoles and games in there, because I got a bunch of old. And I don't know. But then it's like, oh, do I really want to get rid of that?
I know, it's funny you mentioned PS2, and I'm looking at my old, like my original PS2, like the big one.
Yeah, like I got a PS1, PS2, PS3 that I don't touch. I got an original Xbox. I got a 360. I got a Wii. I got a Wii U.
I know.
What else?
I'm looking at my PS2, and it's even got the network adapter in the back, man.
And I got my Dreamcast as well. But I don't think I could get rid of that one.
Yeah. I've been on the fence about whether or not I want to like get rid of my Wii U.
And plus my Dreamcast is kind of really sentimental to me, because the first time I went to E3, I went to, I think it was in Santa Monica. I found like an import shop. And I don't think they're there anymore. But it was my first E3. I went by myself, and there was like this cool import shop, and like I was in just heaven, right?
Yeah.
First E3, freaking import video game shop with all this amazing stuff. And they had like custom like shells for systems. So I bought like a clear blue case, like, you know, kind of like a system mod. I had to take my Dreamcast apart and put on this cool, cool blue.
I know exactly
system.
Like the one I think you're talking about. Even.
And I got in LA and part of that trip. So it's a pretty sentimental kind of memory. So, cause I think the Japanese systems you could buy in different colors. I don't think they ever did that here, but I don't know. I could be mistaken. I'll have to take a picture of it. It looks pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the clear N64s, like, you know, the colored green and weird translucent N64s that existed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that.
Yep. Yeah, they got kind of a little bit of a see-through look, but they're still, you can definitely tell that it's, you know, kind of plastic or whatever.
Yeah. Dane.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I think that's enough BS.
You don't want to hear about my BS? We're only going to talk about your BS?
You have some BS? Oh, I thought you had a different... I thought... Never mind. I was looking at the outline. I didn't think you had some BS to share with the audience.
Yeah, no, I was away this weekend. My mom's been in and out of the hospital and some stuff recently, dealing with... I won't get into all the details, but she had a big surgery last weekend. So I was up in Kelowna where she lives, and surgery went really well. She's doing well. She's doing much, much better now, and everything's looking good.
Nice.
So that's, unfortunately, because of all that, I didn't really get to play any video games. But, you know, hey, downside, I didn't really get to play any video games. Upside, my mom's doing a heck of a lot better, and so that's a huge load off my shoulders, and so that's my BS. There you go.
Oh, okay. You had something else. But that's a nice update. Cooler. I'm glad your mom's doing well.
Yeah.
There was no doubt. We knew she was going to do cool. She's a trooper.
I you know, it's one of those things where you never know whenever, you know, somebody goes in for pretty, especially because like the day of the surgery, they're like, yeah, she'll probably be in surgery for like a couple hours, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most, and then she'll be in recovery. But then, you know, so like, you know, maybe 4 hours, check in with us. And like at like hour 7, we were all like, what the hell's going on? We haven't heard anything. Like we were starting to get a little bit nervous, and
they're like, we haven't even started.
And then by like right on 7.5 hours is when they're like, oh yeah, she's actually like out of recovery and in her bed. And we're like, what? Nobody fucking told us? Like, so that was, you know,
awesome.
There was a little bit of stress on that one day. Yeah, exactly. So
meanwhile, she's in her room like, where the F is everybody?
Yeah, no, totally. Cause like the guy she's been seeing, kind of her, I don't want to like they're not married, but like her boyfriend, you know, he said like, hey, like tell me as soon, like I will meet her in the recovery room, you know, when she's out and stuff. And, they were like, yeah, okay, cool. And
nothing for
they
7.5
didn't even
hours.
Yeah, exactly. So
meanwhile, she watched the Star Wars trilogy all by herself.
Yeah, so she was like a little bit like, yeah, I thought you were going to be in the recovery. And he was like, I would have been, but they didn't fucking tell me. So
thanks.
But yeah,
thanks, hospital.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so she's doing much better. So I'm back at work, and yeah.
So she was there chilling, playing video games, basically.
Yeah, I wish
for you.
I wish. That'd be great.
So let's get into what you've been playing. And as you pretty much said, you've been playing nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's
funny. I brought my Switch because I was like, "Oh man, I'll take my Switch with me. Like, I'm gonna be sitting around waiting, and and everything." And then it's just like, yeah, like you get there, and it's I don't know. You got all these people around, and then I couldn't bring it out and start playing it. I just felt like too much of an asshole. So.
Yeah, we did talk about it last week. So BloodStained Curse of the Moon came out on, I think, everything except for Xbox.
Right, that's the weird 8-bit style one, right?
Yeah, it's the new old school Castlevania-esque game.
Right.
From the guys from Inti Creates. And it's it was a Kickstarter tier reward for the BloodStained Ritual Blood, the proper game that they're doing that I think is still scheduled to come out sometime this year.
Yeah, like this fall or something, I want to say,
They haven't said anything besides 2018, and that was a couple of years ago. So
really? I thought they...
Maybe last year they updated saying fall 2018, but I can't remember. Apparently,
I swore they...
Apparently it was at E3 last year, but I couldn't freaking find it. So I'm going to guess we'll probably learn more soon about a release date, would be my guess. Anyway, as part of their Kickstarter, they are like, oh, we'll make an 8-bit throwback game in this vein. That's BloodStained Curse of the Moon. I think it was $12.99 Canadian on the Nintendo Store. And again, I think it's out on everything now. But it was, I think there was a delay with the Xbox version. Xbox One version. I assume it's there now.
Okay.
Anyway, it's like a modern 8-bit take on an old school Castlevania game.
Which, if anybody who's been listening to the podcast recently knows, that is what Rick is all about right now.
Right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I was all over it. I purchased it immediately, and pretty much beat it in a day.
Oh, wow. So it's fairly short then.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's super short. You could beat any.
Or you just had a lot of time in your hands.
You can beat any Castlevania game in a sitting quite quickly when you're good at them. I didn't beat it in a sitting. I think I beat it over a couple sittings.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've really truly beaten it because there's a extra stuff that happens after you beat it the first time.
Oh, I see.
I've
so
seen,
it's kind of got New Game Plus almost.
Yeah, it changes the gameplay, but I don't want to talk about it because it could be spoilery.
Okay, fair enough.
That part, what's changed. But anyway, the game starts. You start as, what's his name now? I can't remember his name. He's clearly a vampire hunter. And it's stage-based, kind of like Castlevania 3. There's multiple paths through the stages, and then they end with the boss. There is no real RPG-esque elements like Symphony of the Night or anything. There's no leveling up or gear. But there are multiple power-ups, and they're also specific to character. I guess the biggest thing that's different about this game compared to a Castlevania game, or the old school Castlevania games, because the new Castlevania games definitely have this, is there are different characters you unlock as you progress through the story. So after you beat a boss, you unlock this girl who has a whip and a high jump. And then she has her little I think each class has 2 different power-ups, I think.
Okay.
And then you unlock a wizard guy who has his power-ups, and then you unlock a vampire Dracula type guy. Almost like an a la carte. And they all play differently. They have different power-ups, and you can instantly switch between them.
Huh.
So basically, you just tap the shoulder buttons and it's boom, you're the girl, or you're the wizard, or you're the vampire guy. And I'm trying to find a wiki so that I could remember their names, because I don't remember any of their freaking names.
Good job.
But I can't find a wiki for some reason.
Way to go.
And
You had one job.
There it is.
One
what the
job.
hell? I was on the wrong thing. Here we go.
Yeah.
But as you're playing the game, you can mix and match your power-ups. So, like, the wizard has, like, a shield, which you can use, like a flame shield that circles you, which almost makes you invincible. And then you can switch to one of the other characters, and then it lasts for a while. It'll eventually, like, wear out.
Wait, so if you use that, then you can switch characters and you can use it with... Oh,
at least that one.
Cool.
At least that one you can. And the vampire guy, he turns into a bat and he can fly, so he can access certain places where the other guys can't.
Interesting.
And
so like a little bit of like a Metroid.
Yeah, it's definitely got a little bit of Metroidvania to it. Obviously, being a Castlevania inspired game,
right?
And each character has their own life bar. So if one of the characters dies, you continue, but then you can't use that character. So the level could potentially get harder if you lose particular characters. Because, like, say you lose all your characters and you're stuck with the wizard guy. Well, he has no range whatsoever. He has a staff that basically he swings right in front of him, and it's really slow. But his spells are really powerful. So, like, his skill, I don't know if they're skills or spells, I don't know what you call them, are really powerful. So in that, but he also has a shorter life.
Right.
It's a pretty cool game. It looks like it looks like an NES game. So they didn't take as much liberty as, like, I would say with, like, say Shovel Knight. Like, Shovel Knight's like 8-bit inspired, but definitely pulls off graphics and stuff that I don't think would work at all on an NES. Whereas this,
so it's almost in a way like a NES, but with like some 16-bit sort of in it.
Yeah, it's like it's got a little more detail and color palette that I don't know the rules of Shovel Knight if they paid attention to that. This definitely feels more closer to an NES game, but I'm pretty sure it's probably not possible. But it basically looks like a spiritual successor to Castlevania 3 graphically. It's got lots of cool new enemies. The bosses are amazing. Yeah, you know what? I don't think this game would be possible in the NES because the bosses are massive.
From some of the other people that I've heard talking about it, they were saying, like, initially you're like, oh yeah, totally, this was an NES game, but then when you get into various things like the bosses, you realize, like, there's no way this game could have been, like, it's NES inspired, but a lot closer to something like 16-bit in a lot of ways. It's a really cool game. I love it. As a Castlevania freaking fan, it's a pretty awesome throwback. That's cool, man. Obviously, it's not like a Symphony of the Night, but for what they were aiming for, it, like, I don't know, it like hits it out of the park. It's pretty cool. If you're into the Castlevania games, it's pretty rad. The bosses are amazing. They're huge. They're multi-phased bosses. They fill the entire screen, most of them. They're fair. Like, totally, like, if you can remember the patterns, I felt really good in that I could avoid stuff, learning the patterns of the bosses, where sometimes, like, Symphony of the Night's awesome. And I'll get to the next game I'm talking about, some of the other Castlevanias. Sometimes you kind of brute force your way through the boss, not elegantly. Yep, I know exactly what you mean. You have enough life and you're, like, getting hit, and you're just basically brute forcing your way through some of the bosses, and it's not pretty. In this, I felt really awesome pulling off, like, you know, moves and dodging attacks and getting ready for the next phase, especially with the last boss, because that one took a lot of memory and figuring out the tricks. It's like, oh, if I do this, I'm literally invincible. And I don't know, it's such a cool game, and the price was fantastic. Like I think it's $10 American, which that's where it translated to the $12.99 Canadian. Right. Okay. Yeah. I would totally recommend this game if you like Castlevania games. That's awesome. And after you beat it, obviously something changes, and I assume there's a truer ending. I don't know. It's kind of like it's like Zelda, right? You're playing it again essentially after. Oh, for sure. I don't know. I think there's like 7 or 8 stages, and they're pretty big stages. Maybe 9 stages. Huh. Okay.
And like I said, the bosses are fantastic. The music was really good too. It's a great game. It's a cool little game. And for the price, man.
That's awesome. I might...
It was a pleasant surprise. Now I want the freaking Ritual of the Night. So obviously, after beating this, I'm like, oh man, my Castlevania fucking itch is like full blown. I got like a mega rash here. I gotta freaking do something.
That's funny.
And then I went back to my DS, my 3DS, and I pulled out my old DS Castlevanias.
Wow.
I got them sitting right next to me right here. So you got
crazy, man.
Portrait of Ruin, Dawn of Sorrow, and Order of how do you pronounce it? Ecclesia or Ecclesia? I don't know how you pronounce that. It's in the outline. Maybe you can try.
What do we got here?
Right here.
I want to say Order of Ecclesia.
Okay, Ecclesia. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, anyway, the first two games, Dawn of Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin, I was going through the saves, and I think I mentioned this last week. I did mention it last week because I listened to last week's podcast because I burned through every other podcast that I listened to. And I mentioned how I had save files on those games with like 1,000% or like total complete.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if I necessarily beat them with like the secondary or unlockable characters. But when I was playing Ecclesia, I didn't have a complete save. And I started a new game. And I'm like, man, this game's huge. So I ended up picking up my old save that was about 40 or 60% in.
Okay.
Because after I like figured out, okay, this is how everything works in this game. Remembered the systems, how it all works. It's quite different compared to every other Castlevania. Graphically, I'd say it's on par, if not potentially better than Symphony of the Night. The music, though, doesn't have the best soundtrack. It's okay, but it ain't no Symphony.
It is. I mean, it is I was gonna say it is a DS game, and then I was like, well, that doesn't really matter. There's been some pretty dope like music for some of those.
Yeah, like
systems and games
it's capable of great music, and the music's fine. It's just not amazing like in Symphony of the Night.
Yeah,
that soundtrack is, man, it's one of the best.
Really,
but graphically, it looks like Symphony of the Night. It has enemies ripped straight out of Symphony of the Night.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
So somebody played a lot of Symphony of the Night, and they were
it's from the same. It's from the same dude, right?
Yeah,
and it's very different in that the girl you play, is it Shanoa? I think that's what it is. You start off, your powers. You have gear per se, but you don't equip weapons. You absorb powers from the enemies you defeat, and they're almost like loot drops. So certain enemies have different attacks or different runes that they drop, whether it be like a sword or a scythe or an axe or whatnot. There's tons. There's like tons of different weapons, more than any.
So it's not like Mega Man where you beat a boss and you get his powers that you can then go back to.
Enemies randomly drop their power / attack as I think it's a rune.
Interesting. So then you pick it up and
you absorb it, and then
you just sort of like automatically
you equip it. You don't automatically pick it up. You have it once and for all. Once you
really? So like then after you have it, you can like cycle through and choose the one that you want?
It's a glyph system. That's what it is. So
interesting.
She absorbs the glyphs, and like Symphony of the Night, it's the only other game like Symphony of the Night, you can equip a glyph in your right hand or your left hand. And then you also have another one that you can equip to, I guess, your R button or whatever. And those ones are usually like buffs or abilities or special stuff like an ability to go through walls or to fly. And spoiler alert, you can get wings and fly.
What?
You get it very late in the game though.
Oh.
And it's really cool. So you got all of your attacks use magic points, which would almost equate to like basically stamina, right? Because as you swing your weapon, the meter goes down depending on what attack. And then, of course, depending on what glyphs you have, they do something called glyph unions that are like basically like supers. Like, say you have one of the scythe weapons on both your hands.
Okay.
If you press up in your attack button, you'll do this big giant scythe attack that does the whole screen. Massive damage.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
And that uses your hearts. So that's separate from the MP gauge, right? The magic gauge that your basic attacks use.
So it uses your... But aren't your hearts your health?
No, the hearts are like in the old Castlevanias, you know, like when you got hearts and you could throw the axe or throw the knife.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's like that,
right.
That typical heart system. And that's actually, the BloodStained has that as well. I don't think their hearts are BloodStained, no. I can't remember what you collect in that one. But same thing, you collect it and then you can use your little abilities. But if you mix glyphs, you can unlock different, like, glyph unions, and some of them are like really devastating or take a lot of hearts, and like some of them are pretty awesome. And there's like a bunch of stuff you can mix and match, and then you can even like have like 3 different loadouts of different glyphs because you're changing them all the time depending on situation and enemies, right? Because enemies have elemental weaknesses, weapon type damage weaknesses. Bosses are massive. Hands down the hardest Castlevania game I've ever played. I literally was on one boss all Sunday.
Ooh. Oh, that's hard. Oh.
Not like, I'm not going to say like 8 hours of trying to beat this boss, but like...
Okay, but you were like you were playing
20
for like
or 30...
30 minutes, and then you
No, like 20, 30, 40 attempts to beat this one boss. But to be fair, I still wasn't in my groove with the game quite yet. And reading... a FAQ, probably the hardest boss in the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which happened to be where I picked up that later save file. That's probably why I may have stopped at that point when I originally stopped playing this game. But I eventually got it, memorized his patterns, kicked his ass. I didn't beat him without getting hit, though. There's a thing, you get these medals in this Castlevania if you manage to beat a boss without getting hit. That I could see being pretty freaking difficult.
Wow.
I ended up beating it today. Dracula wasn't as hard as that last boss that I fought.
Really?
That first boss. I was literally halfway through the last castle on that save, so I was pretty far. Another thing that's really different about this Castlevania compared to other ones, it has like an overworld and different locations you go to, and that you can actually revisit. It's not just the castle. Like, you unlock the castle eventually, but after you go and do a bunch of other stuff. And there's like a hub town where NPCs give you quests and stuff, which reward you with different loot and gear.
Right.
Yeah, it's a freaking awesome game. I can't believe I didn't beat it. It even apparently has like DS to Wii connectivity with the Castlevania game that came out on Wii.
I'm still kind of amazed that, like, they put out so many for the DS.
Yes, they did 3 on the DS. So this is the third.
Yeah, and then they did a bunch on the 3DS, and then they essentially just were like, no, we're good.
Yeah, so
that was it.
So it's Koji Igarashi as well, right?
Yeah.
Cool departure from the traditional. It is the first Castlevania that doesn't have the vampire killer whip in any form.
Really?
No flashbacks,
all,
no nothing yet.
Interesting.
And it takes place after Symphony of the Night, which totally explains the graphic style and the connections. The bosses are wicked. The bosses are awesome in this game, too. There's some huge bosses.
Man, I'm so excited to see this next set of like Castlevania animation anime on.
Oh yeah, that's going to come out later this year, isn't it?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited.
That was awesome. That's the thing is like here's 4 episodes, and that 4th episode they really kick it into high gear. It's like this is me. Oh, it's all done.
I know. Oh
yeah, this is a rad game. If you skip this one, I think the only way you can play it is on DS or on a 3DS with the DS cart. There's no virtual console or any other way to play this. So you actually have to get the cart. I don't know if it's rare or whatnot, but yeah, it was cool. I don't know, now that I beat it today, I might go back and play the other 2 just for the heck of it. But I did pop.
Man, I did pop. Just like, I did pop. This Castlevania thing is just on and on and on.
What is it like? The crazy third or fourth or fifth Castlevania I've beaten this year.
Oh man!
Because I replayed Symphony of the Night. I did
go back and look. It's been a lot, man.
Yeah, I did Dracula X. I did Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, like you even played some kind of arguably sort of stinkers in there too.
Oh yeah, I did the Genesis one too, Bloodlines. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've done like 5 or 6 Castlevanias this year, old school games. Geekoholics Anonymous, where we talk about all the newest, hottest releases.
You know it.
Well, we do, but
Rondo of Blood.
I do have a weak spot for these Castlevania games.
1994 called.
Seriously,
they want their game back.
Actually, this one came out in 2008.
2008 called. That's still 10 years ago.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years this October. Well,
that's crazy.
That's one more game off my pile of shame.
Can't get you to play good games off your pile of shame.
This is a good game. Metacritic 85 out of 100. That's pretty good.
That's not terrible. That is all right.
It's a cool freaking game. I don't understand why they stopped releasing these. Well, actually, I know probably
because Konami is like, fuck you. I'm not gonna make any more games anymore.
I think Iga moved on. Maybe they just weren't. I don't know if he necessarily
moved on, or if they just were like, we're not gonna make any games anymore, and here you go.
Yeah, I wish they released these on a yearly. I would not be upset.
Wow.
With that.
Well, yeah.
Well, at least we have Rondo Blood coming soon.
Fair enough.
And the female, you can totally tell the female.
Wait, Rondo of Blood is coming soon?
Sorry. Ritual
Don't
of
scare
Blood.
Scare me like that.
BloodStained Ritual. Right. Is it Ritual of the Night?
What is Ritual of the Night.
Yeah. You can totally tell the main character in that game is influenced by this girl from this one. So that's what I've been playing.
Fair enough.
I ignored Donkey Kong Country to play this. I'm right at the end of that game. I do have to beat that.
I think you said that last week.
Yeah, I'm still like...
You're like, I'm like right there.
I'm right there, but then Curse of the Moon came out, and then this got in the way, and...
Yeah.
And then I got other games on my backlog that... I don't know.
I
don't know if we can even talk about the other game that we got.
I've got other games on my upcoming games that I can't talk about right now that are coming out soon.
And then it's
that I have early that I really want to play.
I don't think I'm going to get a lot of game playing done in the next little while, because then it's like, boom, we're at E3.
Well, you're at E3.
Yeah. My awesome ass is at E3.
I know. I've got some friends coming in from out of town, and they haven't been here in a while. And they're staying with us this weekend. I'm like, well, there goes my video game playing over the weekend. Like, son of a bitch. Didn't get to play last weekend. Not going to get to play this weekend.
Dust off that Switch.
Fuck.
Well,
I know.
Dane, I think that's it for what you've been playing. Let's get into some news. Come and get your news.
Yeah. Got this whole lead up to E3 thing happening.
Yeah,
where
actually,
there's quite a bit of news.
When I was looking at the outline a couple days ago, I was like, oh, we're not going to have a lot to talk about. And then, like, literally the dam, like, burst over the last couple days with, like,
it's been
announcements and releases. Like, there's some huge bombs that dropped this week. Just real quick, moment of silence. I never met him, but totally admired his work. And, unfortunately, huge personality in the gaming industry. TotalBiscuit passed away,
John Bain.
I think shortly after we recorded.
That was the following day.
Yeah, I've never met him. I think he's been at some of the events and maybe in passing, but I've never personally. He's one of the.
I never personally met him. I have seen him, or I had seen him a couple of times at PAX. I know he was there, and I walked past him and said, "Hey."
I didn't know what he looked like, so.
But, oh, really? Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So. Yeah, huge. The dude, he's been fighting cancer like crazy over the last, year or two or whatever. And unfortunately, it it fucking won. That sucks. You know, he was just young. Like, he's
33.
Younger than I am. Yeah, like, he's, you know, he's...
I just liked his videos because he was quite honest. Of course, he had a freaking English accent, so that also made him sound smarter and better.
Yeah.
Once you have an accent,
he also very much told it like it was.
Oh, right? Absolutely. He didn't put up with shit.
That was the one thing. Like, he was not afraid to piss people off, which, I mean, I think sometimes made him come across as a bit of a dick, but at the same time, I think he definitely showed that, you know, he was willing to say exactly what he thought, and he was not getting paid to do it. He also was a huge announcer in the StarCraft community. You know, he also owned a professional StarCraft team. So, I mean, like, huge, just video games in general, especially from a streaming and esports arena, huge loss. The guy was a pioneer in a lot of that, and it's really brutal to have seen that, especially, you know, he was fairly public about his struggle and his fight, and, you know, seeing him over the last few years, like I said, you know, I've followed him on Twitter and stuff over the last several years, and it was brutal. It was shocking, to be honest, just because, you know, you see stuff like that happening, and he talks about it, and he says, you know, hey, you know, I got to go back to the hospital, etc., etc. But, you know, you think to yourself, well, you know, he's fighting chemo, like he has been. He's doing chemo. He's fighting cancer, like, and then I saw a tweet saying, you know, hey, I'm pretty tired. I'm not going to be able to stream today. Got to go back to the hospital or whatever. And then literally the next day, I saw a tweet from his wife on his account saying that he was gone.
Yeah, I don't follow him, so I didn't see how that all went down. But yeah, huge.
It was honestly crazy. Like I said, it was weird because I knew that he'd been fighting it, but I don't know. It was sort of,
I thought surreal. I remember hearing that he like came out and was like, yeah, I'm fighting cancer. And then it's like, he had it seemed like a dire kind of situation like a year or two ago.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, we're cool and I'm back and everything's great. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Like he beat it.
Yeah, no, not at all. He unfortunately, actually his cancer, he had actually run out of forms of chemo that were useful against his form of cancer. He'd tried something like 70 different kinds of chemo, and in the end, unfortunately, like the cancer just wasn't reacting to it anymore. So seriously? Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Yep, and he was hoping to get in on some experimental stuff that they were hopefully working on, and unfortunately, it was crazy because he was as far along as he was actually not eligible to try to get in on the experimental stuff. It was really sad. So that's, you know, yeah. But anyways,
bottom line, F cancer.
Cancer sucks, man. So, like I said, it's gonna be a huge bummer for, you know, obviously everybody. He'll definitely be missed for sure.
Yeah, I saw my Twitter feed blew up like every outlet. You know, like when Blizzard's like posting that they're gonna miss you, like, you know, you had a fucking impact.
Well, like I said, he was, I mean, not only was he an owner of a team, but he was like one of the original StarCraft 2 and StarCraft announcers, right? Like when that stuff started happening, like he was there, he was involved.
Oh, he had such an awesome voice.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Again, that English accent, man, I got to get me one of those.
Yep. There you go.
All right. Pour out a little liquor for our man, TotalBiscuit.
Cheers. All right.
Moving.
Look at you going to E3. You don't have to worry about... Oh, wait. E3 bans backpacks and bag checks?
Yeah, so I was like
So I'm reading this as they're up in their security game because they're worried about some stupid shit.
I kind of freaking freaked out. And I was like, oh, man. I'm like, this sucks. This no backpacks, no. You could take like a clear bag or like a small bag. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, that's not going to work very well because like I'm going to have my Switch with me.
Yep.
Potentially like my camera and my like gimbal and like a bunch of other shit, notepad for writing down stuff so I remember what to talk about. Kind of like, and I'm like, ugh, if I can't take a bag, I'm like, that's not going to work. And then, of course, luckily I read that there are exceptions for like media where you can take backpacks. So like, thank God, it's still subject to search. But man, that would have been a huge pain in the butt. But for like, anyone with a gamer pass, basically no backpacks. You can take a bag in that is 12 inches by 15 inches by 6. I guess that's like those like a reusable shopping bag type size. That seems about right.
Okay, yeah.
I think that seems about right. Like one of those reusable bags. They're saying any bags that you get on the show floor and swag and stuff, that's fine. But once you leave, you cannot bring it back in. So like if you're gonna have to make maybe some extra trips to the car to ditch your stuff because of these new rules. This totally comes because of, the stories. I think we talked about it last year. Like, I know Kotaku ran a story, but a lot of other websites did too, saying that there's no security at E3. This is kind of concerning. And I guess this is pretty much a reaction for that, obviously.
Right.
Which is, the way things are nowadays, it's not a bad idea. Not that nothing's ever happened, but...
you can't really.
It's better to be safe than sorry
at this point. Yeah,
they literally E3. Like I've been to a few. Their security is non-existent. Like they don't have anyone armed there. They have like guys in suits at the gates who are just like, turn your badge around. Let me see your badge. Like that's all they do. Mm-hmm. They ain't stopping anything nefarious from happening. And it's. Like, I don't know what security is like at Comic-Con or like, and to be honest, even at like PAX, security at PAX is pretty non-existent too. It's as bad, if not worse than E3. At least E3 is like paid security. PAX is like volunteers. So I wonder if this is going to affect any PAXs going forward. Because, anyway, it's kind of...
Yeah. We'll see, I guess.
I was scared. It sucks as a fan now. You're going to have to make your choices. And obviously you'll be able to take your Switch in, and whatever, couple small things, your camera and cell phone. But it's kind of nice having a backpack to haul. Like, take a drink and have a couple snacks, have room for my t-shirts and any swag I magically get. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, be aware. If you're going to E3, leave your backpack in the trunk. Maybe look at getting one of these bags. I imagine this is going to cause a freaking disaster getting into the convention center.
I'm wondering how many people aren't going to know about this and are going to show up on day one and be like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't
there's going to be...
Well, what am I going to do?
Absolutely, there's going to be... Unless attendees' badges are like registered through email, which I imagine they are, maybe they've communicated, so maybe they know. I don't know. Because I didn't get this. I'm media... and registered as, originally industry, and then I upgraded to media. I didn't get an email either of my addresses saying this is the deal. So, yeah, you know what? If I didn't get it, then I'm pretty sure no one else did. And that they're like, exactly like you said, they're going to show up and be like, what the fudge? Yeah. And if you bust in or walked in, I guess they're going to have like a bag check or something.
Yeah. Yep.
What do we got? That's it for that. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is suing Epic over Fortnite. This is so stupid. This is so. So should H1Z1 sue the two of them, or should PlayerUnknown's Arma 3 mod sue them all because he did that first, or who does Kill a Kill sue, and who does like
this? I wonder if this isn't one of those situations where I don't know.
This is one of those situations
I don't know what this
in
is.
That we're not patching our game fast enough. We see our player base eroding. It's all our fault because we got big and goaty and like attitudey, like we were the shiznit. And then Fortnite came along and kind of ate our lunch, and now we're kind of just like reacting. Well, it seems really freaking sad.
And the interesting thing about it is that they're not, like, I was reading a little bit about this, and the part that they're actually having, that they're trying to go after Epic for, is they're saying that because we pay you millions of dollars for the licensing of your engine, that's why they feel that this is a problem. They're not going after anybody else, because even though other people are making almost the exact same game, they're not going after any of those because they weren't partners that they were already building a game with, I guess. And that's where they're trying to go with this. Now this has come up, twice before with Epic, and both times it's like Epic has won. Once obviously with Silicon Knights back in the day, where they tried to say that their game sucked because
they weren't developing the engine or sharing stuff.
Yeah, that Epic was, developing this engine and they weren't helping them out enough, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, charging them for it.
Yeah. And I mean, Epic has said on multiple occasions, like, you buy the engine, you get the engine as it is. If, we are obviously going to do what we can while we're developing the engine to help release patches and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, you are responsible for your game, and that is that. And like, as I understand it, there are two different divisions of Epic, one that makes games and one that makes engines. Obviously they do talk, because that's how this stuff works. But I don't think that, I don't know. I think that this is pretty weak.
It's sad.
I see where they're on one hand, I see where they're coming from, where they're like, hey, we made this game and now you have a game that's not really setting the world on fire. And so you add a battle royale mode, and now it's exploding, and we're the ones that kind of have been working on this and trying to get your engine to do this and work with you to make these tweaks to make the engine work and things like that. And now you're able to take all of those and run with it. And now your game is just an up and crazy success. But at the same time, I don't know.
It's funny.
I don't think there's much here, but yeah.
I heard today that apparently Epic is suing them back. I haven't.
Oh, are you talking about the joke that somebody had posted on Twitter?
Oh, was it a joke?
I'm pretty sure it's a joke, and they were saying, "Oh,
never mind."
I was looking at that tweet earlier,
and I didn't read it, but I don't know. It just seems really sad. Like, how about you fix your game, fix the cheaters, get your performance up, and quit worrying about what other people are doing. Like, they didn't steal your idea. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, if I made the first movie and no one else can make movies because I made the first movie, like, good luck with that. I'm pretty sure what's going to happen here is that PUBG is going to end up owing Epic more money because they're going to lose this court case.
Yeah. I don't
think they have a leg
I don't know
to stand
enough
on.
About like the ins and outs of everything to really give a full
Obviously,
what's up
we're not lawyers
whatever.
and we're not directly involved,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
from what I can tell from the outside, they're going to lose.
It definitely, when I look at it, I go like, really?
And it seems seems very sad.
But
it's like,
who knows?
Because, like, their fan base has been clamoring and complaining about a bunch of stuff. And it's like, oh, this is what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, different parts of the company working on different things, but
yeah, I know.
Hey, who knows? Maybe they'll win, and maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, we'll find out. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Just remember what I said. They're going to lose. So Bethesda popped up a stream yesterday or the day before of a tune-in Fallout kind of screen, and a Pip-Boy, not Pip-Boy, Fallout Boy, bobblehead,
yeah, Pip
whatever.
Yeah,
and basically random stuff happening. They had like 140 something thousand people watching this stream of essentially nothing.
God, I saw that and it made me kind of sick.
And then finally,
people need to find out better things to do with their time.
Finally, the trailer rolled, and basically Bethesda launched a teaser trailer for Fallout 76. It's obviously a teaser trailer. There's no gameplay. It looks like it's all pre-rendered CG. Who knows? It could be in-engine. It's like no idea. They didn't talk about what kind of game it is. Is it a typical Fallout game? Is it something different? Rumor and speculation is, according to Jason Schreier, he's been on the internet telling people to temper their expectations and that this is not like a Fallout 4 or Fallout 3.
Right.
That it's a different game,
like
that it's potentially
side thing.
Yeah, potentially it's an online game. Rumor is it's a prequel.
Interesting.
Obviously this trailer there's hints and secrets in this trailer. People are already dissecting that potentially the date was in the trailer. And I like where it takes place timeline wise. It sounds like people have kind of pieced together. This is a prequel to Fallout 3 and 4. Basically, essentially one of the first vaults to open right after the war. So as opposed to the other games where you come out and there's already like, Megaton City and, all the semi in quotation marks civilization. This is it like immediately after the war. There ain't no cities at all. And a lot of people are suspecting that this is like a multiplayer, like a survival game almost.
Interesting.
Yeah, no one knows. This is all rumor and speculation. But I trust Jason with his temper expectations. I've heard
pretty crazy.
Like he's the one who's saying that this is like a multiplayer, like a very different game. So. I assume we will find out more at Bethesda's press conference on, I think it's the Saturday before E3, Saturday night? Or the Sunday, Sunday night.
Right, okay.
I think it's the 10th. EA is June 9th. Microsoft is Sunday morning, or afternoon. Bethesda is Sunday night. So because they're having another event. So I imagine that's where we'll actually find out what type of game this is, but that's a nice, pleasant surprise. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, something Fallout related.
I'll take it. I could use something different.
If they went back to Fallout 1 and 2 style, I'd be all over it.
Because, let's be honest.
I'd be very excited.
I love Fallout 3. Special place in my heart. The game was amazing.
Can't stand that game. It's terrible. I don't know what the fuck you people see in those games.
Fallout 4, amazing, but a little too... To be honest, it seemed a little too samey. Like is like the Far Cry 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 kind of thing. It's like, I know this trick, this pony. I know this game. Is new but not new enough. Like I love Fallout 4. Don't get me wrong. The building, all the stuff they added was great, but at the same time, it's like it was still a Fallout game, tried and true, right? So I'm kind of excited. Like you don't know what you want or you don't know what you're missing.
Is it really though? It's the same as 3, which was not a good game.
Shut up. You're wrong.
You're
wrong.
I don't know.
So I would think it'd be cool to check a Fallout game in a different type of genre. I'm down with that.
Oh, me too. Totally. I'm hoping they'll make another good Fallout game in my lifetime.
Jesus. You deserve so much hate mail.
I'm sure I'll get it. I don't care. It's an unpopular opinion, but we've had this talk on the show. I don't get, like, the story in those games is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, the story stuff makes me want to play them, but the gameplay in 3, it was bad.
3 was pretty janky.
It's not a shooter.
4 was
not an RPG. It's like it doesn't know what the fuck it is.
You just stop while you're ahead before someone murders you.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. 3 is quite janky. 4 was greatly improved.
Yeah. And to be fair, I own 4. I just have never played it because 3 was not.
You should play 4. 4 is a huge improvement.
Maybe I'll try it. I don't know.
Or don't. Whatever.
Yeah.
You do you. I don't know what I have to say about this. Made a little bit of news around the circles here. There was a game.
I feel like we shouldn't even give it the time of day to talk about personally.
Really? I just want to.
I don't know. Like,
I just want to.
It's one of those things. Like, the more people talk about it, the more it gets like coverage, and it's like,
well, it's been pulled, so I'm going to mention it. I'm going to mention it.
All right.
There's a game called Active Shooter where you play as a school shooter. It was on Steam.
That's not entirely true. So hold on. I do want to. Okay. If we're going to do this, let's do it properly. So there's a game called Active Shooter.
You could be a shooter in a school.
It allows you to play
different scenarios, right?
Yeah, it allows you to play as the cops trying to stop an active shooter. It allows you to play as the active shooter. And as far as I'm aware, it actually allowed you to play as like a student or a teacher to run away from both cops and active shooters. I'm all for not censoring stuff.
That's what I wanted to get at. Like,
but at the same time, I feel like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is a real thing, and I mean,
that's a problem,
right?
Like, as my parent,
one could argue, like, what the fuck is wrong with us as a culture, though? Like, we create war games, and we all jump in there and shoot 100 people or 1,000 people, and that's fine. Nobody even blinks an eye at the new Call of Duty game or the new Battlefield game, and yet, because people are running around shooting up schools in the United States, that this is something that is wrong to put into a video game. I just think it's really in bad taste, and I'm like I said, I'm not one for censorship. But I think that with the climate the way that it is, and I think that this is such a real problem that is only seems to be escalating. Thank God, like, it hasn't been an issue where I live and where we live, but it's definitely seeming to be more and more of a problem on a daily basis in the United States right now. And to make a game that allows you to be put in that situation, it just kind of makes me wonder, like, what were you thinking? And I don't know.
Yeah, my parent brain is like, fuck this guy, fuck anyone who came up with this idea, and this shit should be torn out of here. And then at the same time, my, like, well, if you get rid of this shooter, like, what's, like you mentioned, like, what about the war shooters and all the other glorified violence games that we have? It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Because, like you said, on one hand, violence is fine, and then on another hand, it's not fine. This is like,
it's all context, right?
Yeah, and then the whole thing.
In a war game, he's trying to kill me, I'm trying to kill them.
Yeah.
It's a thing, whereas in this game, I'm just going to run around and kill people. Like, I don't know.
Reading more into the story and, like, seeing Valve's comment. This story came from Kotaku, by the way. Basically, Valve responded back to Kotaku and was like, the creator of this game is a troll with a history of customer abuse, publishing copyrighted material, and user review manipulation. And they're like, you know what? we don't need this. We don't need to be doing business with this guy. So we're removing it. So had it been maybe done differently or by someone else, maybe it would be able to exist. I don't know.
Right. Like, and I mean, and I was going to say that this feels very much like somebody who has no idea or any sort of remorse. Like, it feels like something that somebody would make who is a little bit of a sociopath. I'm not saying that this person is. I'm just saying it seems...
Or for like a quick cash grab.
Yeah, very much like a cash grab. I don't give a shit about anybody else or anybody else's feelings. I have no empathy.
This would be great if we get a bunch of news stories.
Yeah, in hopes that this is exactly what's going to happen. People are going to be upset. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who are going to think it's great and they're going to buy it, which is kind of terrifying. And then there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to buy it just out of sheer curiosity. But in a weird way, by us talking about it, that kind of empowers that, which was kind of why I was a little bit hesitant to talk about it initially. Just, some of this stuff is weird in the fact that when we talk about it, we give it not power, but
I guess what
power
I more
for less of a better
what I want to talk about than anything, I guess. It's like, yeah, fuck that guy, screw this game. It's great that it's gone, but I guess the question I have is there a place for games with this type of serious content or no? is it disrespectful and that it shouldn't exist and just ignore that this stuff happens? Or is there a place for someone to make a game on this kind of stuff that could potentially, I don't know, be positive? Could you have this kind of content and have any type of positivity associated with it? Could it be?
That's a really good question.
Could it be like could you do like a learning thing? Like maybe like if this, then that kind of how to prepare? Like, could you do it almost like an educational thing? Because this is a freaking real thing that happens, Jesus Christ, way more often than it should. Like, it shouldn't happen at all.
No.
The fact that the freaking, like, goddamn American government hasn't done something to stop this is just ridiculous, and just goes to show that their government and their political system is just for sale to the highest bidder, and you essentially run the country, aka the oil companies and the weapon manufacturers. Otherwise, this stuff would be gone.
I think it's a lot more complicated than
obviously,
that,
I'm boiling it down to freaking lowest common denominator, but it's just disgusting.
Big time. No, I agree. I think you got to kind of look back a few years, and I mean, remember when Postal came out? The first Postal game. It was a game about a postal worker who goes postal because that's what happened.
Yeah, that was the original
early 90s, right?
Yeah, that was the original school shooting, because school shootings weren't quite the norm.
Well,
postal was the same. Hence the game, exactly.
Right, and I mean, it was about, a postal worker who went crazy and shot some stuff and caused some problems.
And it happened more than once.
Yeah, no, it happened a bit over a fairly brief period of time, hence the term. And then in a weird way, Running with Scissors, the developer, made kind of a troll game. Like you said, they were going to make a game that kind of, in a little bit, not the same as this, but in a way similar to this, which was literally you could run around and just cause havoc, and you could piss on people and shoot people and light people on fire, and it didn't matter if they were cops or if they were other people. It was really up to you.
It was done very tongue in cheek, though. Like, it wasn't.
It was very satire.
Yeah, like it wasn't
very much a satire.
It wasn't very
like
realistic.
No, but I mean, you also have to remember, like, the technology at the time and all that.
More limiting.
That being said, a ton of people were, like, really upset about that at the time. And
if your family was affected by one of these freaking disasters, like, yeah, I could see being very bent out of shape. I guess at the end of the day, there really is no place for this stuff. Games are escapism and entertainment. We don't need to drag in terrible reality of such a disgusting tragedy that happens to so many people and families.
Positive,
whether a positive message could be
least,
like pulled out of it or not, or educational, I guess it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's just like, no.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to have a situation in a game where something like this might come up. I think it's a whole nother thing to put you into the position of you're a active shooter shooting up a bunch of defenseless kids and teachers and stuff. I don't know.
I've always had this funny thought of like, I'm going to make a Counter-Strike level of like my house and my neighborhood, because that would be kind of fun.
Right.
Kind of like in a paintball-esque, that would be kind of fun. But then at the same time, my neighbors might be like, that's not fucking cool. People running around my neighborhood shooting people. That's definitely not cool. Even though it is like counter-terrorists and terrorists, it's not like unarmed people. It's a team game. Very different. But at the same time, someone else's context of like, no, I don't think it's cool you running around my lifelike representation of my neighborhood, because that's my house and that's where me and my family live.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, maybe that wouldn't go over too well.
Probably not.
Because, remember, was it Mansion in Counter-Strike Go? Is that the name of the map? The one with the house? I can't remember the goddamn name of the map.
Oh, man.
There was one with a house, and it's like that map always made me think about, oh, man, I'm going to like meet my house, and then like the neighborhood, and then like the park down the street, and then like that's the whole map. That'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what
but
you're talking about.
But you see where I'm coming from. It's totally like not...
For sure. You're thinking about
malicious,
it as like,
right? Like it's just
exactly. Just, whereas there's other people that would be thinking about it as like,
wow, what's wrong with that guy? You're fucked up. Why would you want to do that? That's like a neighborhood where people live. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like
subject. Wow. You know what? At least get on Valve for doing the due diligence and realizing this guy was a douchebag. So yeah, fuck him. He shouldn't be able to make money off of that.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Yes, let's do that.
Walmart leaks is on. Walmart's like setting a record for leaks. It does.
Is it the Canadian Walmart again?
I don't think so. I was trying to look in freaking the link here to Reset Era. Doesn't show what website this leaked from, so I don't think it was Walmart Canada, unfortunately. I think it was Walmart America trying to like play catch up, but you know, compared to like 20 titles, they just leaked one. Right. Team Sonic Racing is coming to Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox One this winter. Sega, obviously, his hand was forced, and they came out and officially announced it and released a trailer. And yeah, some people are pretty excited. I never got into the Sonic Racing games.
Hey,
speaking of which, wasn't one of them just free recently on one of the services?
Vinny Caravella going to be very excited about this.
Yeah. What was it? Was it Games for Gold? I think it was Games for Gold. Is that right?
Might have been. I don't know.
One of them, I swear, had Switch Racing transformed for free. But so yeah, there's that. Coming this fall, I'm sure we will see that at E3. I doubt I will play it because I don't really care, but some people are excited. And then, how do you feel as WB? On the heels of a Fallout announcement, they're like, oh, hey, by the way, guys, we got a new game, Lego DC Supervillains. Totally overshadowed by the Fallout announcement, but hey, another Lego game's coming this fall. Again, also awesome.
This is interesting.
Also
you would have thought they would have saved this for like a press conference at E3 or something, but
no. And they probably had a plan to come out with it this week and not be baried at E3. And then it was just like basically like I saw the story and then I went back through my like news feed to like grab it because I'm like, oh yeah, there was a new game, but I also got a press release as well from WB about it, but. I'm like, where is it? And it's like Fallout. You know, besides that, like, I don't know, not a lot of people are talking about it, but the Lego games are fantastic. And this one's a little different in that you can always play as the villains, but I guess the main shtick on this one is the campaign centers around you playing as the villains.
Yeah. Interesting
Players
concept.
will be able to create and play as their own villain throughout the game and become the center of the story. They will team up with a variety of villains: Joker, Harley Quinn, Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, and others. Unlock new abilities, powers, and more customization. Other players can join story mode at any time through 2-player local co-op.
I mean, I do like the Lego games. They're a lot of fun.
Lego DC Supervillains, the Justice League has disappeared.
Huh.
The little trailer. This stuff, of course. Every story we have mentioned this far will be linked in our show notes, of course. If you want to see the teaser trailers or trailers for all the stuff we talked about, it's all here. October 16th. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Those games are fantastic. I will definitely be a Lego aficionado once my daughter gets a little older, because I hear those games are great with kids.
They are good for that. There can be a little bit...
I've tried playing them on my own, and I'm like, yeah, these are
They can be a little bit confusing is the only problem that I run into sometimes, where like I'm running around a map trying to figure out what the hell I'm missing because I'm not able to move forward. And then it turns out it was some stupid little thing that I like missed. That's the only downside that I find of those games.
I've tried playing them in the past, and this is like, these are they're just a little too simple for me. You know, and a little more depth and a little deeper combat system, and which, you know, they're kids
definitely
games. They're not
overly...
made for 40-year-old kids. They're made for actual kids.
Well, you know.
Debatable.
Yeah.
Getting into Nintendo news. Nintendo's releasing Zelda-themed Nintendo 2DS. How do you say that? Hylian? Link's freaking shield. I don't know. How do you say that?
Isn't it? Oh, a Hylian shield?
Is that how you say it? Because Hyrule.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's blue. It's got Triforce and some cool symbols on it.
If I was in the market for a 2DS...
Yeah, I don't need it, but I'm going to buy it.
Right, because you're an idiot.
I am an idiot, because I need another...
It's a 22DS for crying out loud.
Because I need another 3DS, because I already have two, and I've gone through probably two before that.
You're an idiot.
Actually,
I won't lie, it does look fucking rad, though, if I didn't already own it.
July 2nd. I'm sure I will.
If I wanted a 2DS and not a 3DS, this would be the one I would be buying.
I'm pretty sure we'll get hands-on with that at E3. I will report back. Mega Man 11, this story doesn't really belong in Nintendo, but because it is cross-platform, but I just bring it up specifically in Nintendo because Mega Man 11 got its release date this October.
And they're giving out a fucking amiibo.
And there's a special amiibo edition for the Switch.
Ugh.
Which is kind of annoying. I don't think there's any info about whether they're selling the amiibo separately, because I don't really want a physical version of... I don't have any physical Switch games.
You're going to have to buy a physical copy of the game to get your fucking amiibo.
I'm pretty sure it'll be separate. I'm pretty sure this has...
Your name is Rick, and you need that amiibo.
I'm pretty sure this Mega Man amiibo has the same functionality as the original one that was released, but it's a pretty nice amiibo.
It's an amiibo.
That game looks rad.
That game does look really good.
I'm like October. I'm like, I feel like this should, like, man, what's with all these stupid games coming out in October? I feel like this should come out a lot sooner than October. Like tomorrow, so I can play it now. And then out of left,
you got to have some more Castlevania games to get through before then, though. Yeah. So it just gives you time.
Out of left field, literally, what was I doing yesterday? Walking dog, making the dinner. I can't remember. And I just saw this tweet on my timeline from Nintendo. It's like, get ready for a Pokemon specific press conference. And I'm like, what? Like, no one knew.
I saw that. It kind of threw me off guard. I was
okay,
like, what the hell?
Like, whatever. We've talked about the Pokemon stuff recently, like rumors. And of course, those rumors have like essentially been confirmed. There's quite a few announcements. Well, 3 big announcements. Number one, Nintendo came out and announced the new Pokemon for Switch. The Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are real. They showed gameplay trailer. They showed some functionality in the trailer. There's a new accessory. There's a Pokeball accessory, which looks freaking amazing. And that this game has connectivity with Go. Apparently, even Pokemon you catch in Go, you unlock in this game, which means I gotta install Pokemon Go on my phone again.
So this is essentially like
an idiot.
It's a reskinning.
A remake of Yellow, essentially, is what it sounds like. Just like the rumors said. It's got like full like 3D world. It's got co-op. Your Pokemon follow you in the world.
Take the original games, add a bunch of elements from the animated series.
They show battles with like turn-based battle. It has the capture throw mechanic like in Pokemon Go, though they don't really it looks like there's random Pokemon on the map. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused with the other announcement that Pokemon.
My part of it that was messed up was like they were showing that you only need one Joy-Con to play, so you only use one, which I'm wondering like what is that going to be like to like. Does that mean you can play it with one? Or does that mean, like,
I think it's
you really only play it with one?
I don't think it's you only. But you have all the buttons you need. You move and you interact.
Yeah, I guess.
Confirm and cancel. Yeah, see, they're showing a dungeon and they're showing them walking up to a Pokemon. There must be like, I guess they don't really go into it. Like, do you battle and then you throw? They show like traditional battles, like with move sets. So it looks like it's got elements of the traditional Pokemon games. The Pokeball controller looks amazing. Like literally, it's got like a little joystick on it. It looks like it has a speaker on it because like you can take your Pokemon with you. And I don't know, they were like moving it on the table, and it was like Pika Pika and like talking to you. I don't know if it's got like some pedometer stuff with you because you can take your Pokemon on a stroll with you. It looks, I don't know. My 12-year-old,
I have many questions.
12-year-old Rico is like freaking sweet. I'm all over this. I can't wait. And Nintendo's going to sell another 20 million freaking Switches.
Well, of course. Of course. Now, if they would have released this properly with amiibo, they'd be making billions of dollars.
That's the other thing is this is essentially like a remake, right?
Uh-huh.
I guess.
And then they announced that there's a proper brand new
so
Switch
next
coming.
year will be a proper 8th gen Pokemon game with new Pokemon, because this is the original 151. So, and like everyone, like the rumors speculated that this is essentially a version of Yellow. It's like almost a 3.5 minute trailer with a lot of the gameplay, the controller, the Pokeball controller, a bunch of the features. Obviously, we're going to learn more as we get closer to E3, I'm sure. It looks pretty rad. I'm pretty excited. This was a cool announcement. And then, of course, during this little press conference, they announced like a Pokemon game for Switch that released. It's out now. What's it called? Pokemon Quest? Which I forgot to talk.
Kind of a weird art style.
Which I forgot to talk about in our What You've Been Playing, because I actually did download and play it.
It's a free to start Pokemon game.
It's got like it's basically a mobile game on the Switch. Your Pokemon, like they
got these weird super blocky.
Yeah, it's very Minecrafty looking. You have a party.
Yeah, kind of.
You have a party of 3 Pokemon. You can upgrade them with little gems and
power stones. I might add.
Basically, they roam around on the map automatically, and you can choose what attacks they do, which are like basically on cooldown. And of course, all the weaknesses and stuff come into play. There's bosses at the end of a level. You unlock loot as you go through a dungeon to beat other Pokemon. You capture and unlock more Pokemon. It's very
like a world map that looks kind of almost Mario-esque.
It's like very RPG light. I did finish the first area, and I was like, that's a free Pokemon game, but I just also felt like it really felt like a mobile game. Like it has a countdown timer for your rewards. You can collect your rewards once a day. That PM tickets or whatever they're called. Is that what they're called?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It's whatever. It's free. You don't have to spend any money. It was okay. Like I said, it's very RPG light. A little surprise announcement. Overall, man, the announcement of the new Switch game, pretty stoked. I really hope we get to play it in a couple weeks here.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell, my friend.
PlayStation news. H1Z1 just released on PlayStation and is like setting the world on fire. Apparently, it's an open beta, and we
wonder why people keep making these battle royale games and releasing them.
And
then this happens.
The first day, like as far as I thought H1Z1 was like basically dead, and it may very well be on PC because of PUBG and Fortnite. Meanwhile, it releases on PS4 and open beta. Day 1, 1.5 million players. And
open beta and get 1.5 million players in a single day.
And now they've announced that they've got like 4.5 million players.
Jesus.
And apparently it plays all right. It's supposed to perform really well. I've never played H1Z1. You know, it's one of the earlier takes on the Battle Royale, but that's great. Like, good on them. Like, there's room for... There's a million shooters, so there can be a million Battle Royale games. As much as people might be sick of them, there's a million shooters, there's a million RPGs, there's a million of every genre. You know, there's a little fatigue because it's what's dominating the news cycle, but whatever.
Oh, for sure.
If you don't like it, you just ignore it like everything else, right?
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool, like, that they're finding some success there, because, you know, I like it when people do well. Like, you need companies to survive and succeed. Because then that success funds something else, right?
Yep.
And also brings more gamers in the fold, which brings more money in the pool, which makes even more new experiences overall for everyone. You know, there's all kinds of positives. But anyway. PlayStation is having their Days of Play is back this summer again. Big sale from June 8th to 18th. Bunch of discounts on games and hardware. Big news here is that there's a limited edition Days of Play limited PS4 system.
And I gotta say, that thing looks really cool.
It does look cool. It's a blue system with the classic square, triangle, X, and circle logo on the top. It's pretty hot. It's the only complaint I would have is that it's not a PS4 Pro. It's just a regular PS4, which...
Yeah, I did notice that as well, actually.
But yeah, it looks cool. And a bunch of games are discounted. A bunch of first-party games are discounted. Basically, this is what? That's basically the start of E3. Essentially, weekend of E3 until the 18th. So check it out. If you're in the market for a PS4, I think they reduced the price on the regular PS4 like a couple bucks. A pretty sad discount. Not much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the discounts are pretty good. Some of them, not so much.
The system's cool. I don't need.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye. I saw the system. I was like, man, that's pretty sweet.
I think it's a mistake they didn't make a pro version as well.
I agree with that because which is actually surprising because you'd think like right now the big thing that they're trying to do is push obviously the pro, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to sell 4K TVs and they're trying to get the pro stuff sorted. So you think that they would have pushed that a little harder, but I get it.
Yeah.
So,
PlayStation Plus free games for June have been announced. Pretty decent lineup. We got XCOM 2 on PS4, Trials Fusion as well. And then, of course, on PS3, Zombie Driver HD, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier on PS3 as well, Atomic Ninjas on Vita, and Squares on Vita. XCOM 2, that's a good get. That's a quality title,
man. The problem is I don't want to play that on my PS4. I want to play that on my PC.
I already have it on PC, and I haven't even touched it. I think it was a humble game a couple of months ago.
That was a while ago. I remember that, actually.
It's like sitting in my pile of code shame. Moving along to Xbox. I don't know why I put this in here, because we don't really talk about this stuff. Basically, they announced their June additions to Game Pass. I think I put this in here because of Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 is in there.
Right.
Which
seems all right.
Didn't come out too long ago.
No, it didn't.
And
Mega Man 8 and Mega Man 9 and 10. So that includes 7, 8, 9, and 10 in Mega Man Legacy Collection.
I think
2.
that's the only reason I put that in here, because I want to talk about that, because the Mega Man tip. But the bigger news story is they've announced their Games with Gold for June.
Ooh.
And
I haven't actually even read these yet.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. This is where I saw it.
That's funny.
Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia is on Xbox One.
Right.
Smite Gold Bundle.
That's crazy. That's $100 bundle.
I guess, what is that, like, what, every character or something stupid like that?
It's a pretty dope bundle.
And then Sonic All-Stars Racing Transform, that's where I saw it, was here. It is the 360 Bat Compat game. And then Indiana Jones 2 on 360 as well. Lego Indiana Jones.
That's also pretty dope.
They're not a terrible lineup.
No, I think I own the Indiana Jones, but I think it's the first one that I own.
Those are both decent. Oh, man, that reminds me. I got State of Decay because I got Game Pass, and I haven't even freaking launched it. And I really like the first one. Yeah,
I don't know if they're my game for me, but I'm kind of curious to hear what you have to say.
I like the first one, so what I've heard around the campfire is if you like the first one, you like the second one. If you don't like that type of game, then it's not for you. So that's kind of been the general consensus around the web, the internets, the world. Moving along, public service announcements. Just a reminder that Mario Aces beta weekend is this weekend on Switch. So if you haven't already downloaded that demo open beta app on your Switch, do so to be ready. I think it's, like Friday to Sunday or something? That'll be worth checking out. There is also, I think we talked about it last week, there is a demo for Sushi Striker on the Switch store as well. I did play that as well. I don't know if I really like that game. I thought it was something very different. It's a puzzle game. I don't know if you call it a puzzle game. Fantastic presentation. It's got like anime cutscenes, hilarious like boss like encounters, really cool arts. Like the production's through the roof. I just don't know if I really care for the gameplay per se, but I'm pretty sure it evolves and changes as you go along. I've only played like the first few stages. Basically, you match sushi dishes, and basically what happens is you create stacks of empty plates that line up on the bottom of your screen as you chain like 5 or 6 dishes that are matching, right? And you basically just drag your finger across the screen. You can use a controller, but that seems like it would be very not the ideal way to play.
Not as efficient?
Yeah, because it seems like you need to be quick. And as you chain these plates up, the empty plates stack up on the bottom and get like a damage modifier depending on what color plate they are and how many in a stack. So there's 3 rows of like sushi that like on a conveyor belt that move across your screen, right? And basically just drag your finger across matching ones and it's like, okay, there's 6. Oh, there's 3. You got to match a minimum of 2. And as you do it, in the bottom row, these empty dishes stack up from the food you ate. And then basically you fling the empty dishes at the enemy to cause damage.
Huh.
Yeah, it's all right, but I don't know. It seemed kind of, I don't know. I'm sure there's strategy and some depth to it that hasn't immediately occurred to me.
Right. But I was going to say, like, maybe like it gets deeper. Like, maybe do you get orders and you have to be more selective about
I don't know, maybe. Like, I assume different colors of plate only damage certain. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff that gets layered on. I've only played the first few stages, but I just don't know how I feel about this just chaotic dragging my finger across the screen, matching this stuff, and then just, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind, but there's a demo. You can check it out for yourself.
Fair enough.
Awesome presentation. Though. Like, holy crap. The presentation's through the roof.
Fair enough. That's
and then let's get into our free for all section and bring this into the home stretch. I saw Solo. Did you see Solo?
I was busy.
Oh man, you're so
this weekend.
That's right, you were busy. I was gonna say you're like a couple movies behind me.
Dude, I know it's brutal. It sucks. I'm really like we got home on Sunday and I wanted to go see Deadpool so bad that my wife and I almost just went and saw it. And with everything going on, it was so chaotic. We were just like, you know what? We just need to like relax before we start this week. So we just didn't. But
so then I'll keep it brief until we can have a better discussion when you've seen it. Solo is a decent or like a great action adventure sci-fi movie. Is it?
That's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Is it amazing? No. Do we really need this movie? No. Do we need any movies? No. There was a lot of fun stuff. There was some really cool stuff. I guess the biggest complaint, and it's like kind of complaint you've seen around the internet everywhere, is just like, it's hard to tell a story when you already know the finish line.
That's part of the problem with prequels in general.
Yeah, like
right?
that's always been my problem with prequels.
You kind of know eventually where they're going to end up. Obviously, you don't know how they got there, and you don't know.
And usually,
what I like.
Go ahead.
What I like about a prequel is when they do it properly, in my opinion, is they tell a story about a character that you love or whatever, but they do it in such a way that you maybe haven't heard about the particular story, and they don't try to add too much into the prequel that ties in with things later. Like, it's kind of a situation when they do it properly, in my opinion, is when they set it up. This is the character that you know and you love in this thing, but this is a bunch of stuff that happened to them or whatever, but they're not necessarily looking to add a like, oh, that's the Kessel Run, and ooh, this is that, and ooh, this is that, and all the things that, you know, you maybe heard about from him and Chewie talking, or him and somebody else, and that what and so forth. But they just tell a story. That's what I like it, and I think that's when you can do prequels properly.
Yeah.
I think when they try to add too much of the stuff, like when they try to flesh out too many of the things that they've maybe talked about previously in the films or on TV, that you can kind of run into problems, because like you said, then you start kind of like, yes, you're filling out a character, but ultimately you know where it ends up.
Yeah, like Woody Harrelson, amazing. Donald Glover as Lando, amazing.
That's good.
The guy who plays Han, I don't even know his name. He was fine. The trailers made him, to be honest, the trailers made him out to be terrible. And
yeah, I was gonna say, because from the trailers that I saw, I already did not like him.
Yeah, he's totally
sucks.
He's totally fine. The problem is just he doesn't look enough like Harrison Ford and or sound like him. He has the mannerisms right, and I think he does the attitude right, and he plays the character well, but the problem is we know this character already's voice and look so well. It's ingrained in our brains through decades and decades of his existence that it's just, I think,
like almost 40 years at this point.
Honestly, I think it's impossible for anyone to have filled those shoes. And I think he did a good job. And it was a fun movie. At the end of the day, it's just like, did it need to exist? Not really, but it's a movie for entertainment, and I liked it. I thought it was going to be terrible, and it was good. I had fun.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people are
like, to be honest,
map with it.
It was way better than the whole freaking shit that Finn went through in freaking The Last Jedi. Like, that whole storyline, that could have just gone in the dumpster. This whole movie is much better than all of that.
Oh, well.
And like Paul Bettany as well. Fantastic. He was great too.
Big fan of Paul Bettany.
There was interesting like Easter eggs and stuff. Like I'm not going to spoil anything. They're like, I guess they're making sequels to this. Apparently Donald Glover signed on to 2 or 3 more movies.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know if they're just not going to do more Han stuff and spin off the Lando stuff. But this movie was a movie that was like in development hell. Like, there was multiple directors, writers, and Ron Howard was basically brought in to clean up the mess and make a watchable movie. So there is some remnants of all that disaster that he had to work with, but I think he pulled.
I feel like Lando, you could do a great movie with Lando because you know so little about him from the actual Star Wars movies.
Donald Glover was fantastic. Like, he was awesome, and he even sounded like Lando. That's the crazy thing.
That's so
that's where it made that really good.
Right. That's exciting. See, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool movie. I would say watch it. It's a competent sci-fi movie, and I just think it's just one of those things. It's like it's one of the stories that no one asked for. So that's kind of, I think, why like people have problems with it. And it's just too iconic. I think too iconic a character. Like that's where Rogue One played better because like everyone knew that story.
No, nobody knew that story. All they heard was how that story ended.
Yes,
that's all they knew.
You knew
right?
the result of that story. You didn't know that story, so that was a story worth telling.
Yeah, I think that was what's great about that is that you had absolutely no clue.
Kind of like if they made a Boba Fett movie.
Which is exactly what they're making. That's the next one after. That's next year.
Like we were talking, I think a few podcasts, maybe a year or two ago, when we were talking about that, and we're like, well, what's the story you tell? That's the biggest challenge with that character. But it's we don't have any expectations. Right.
All we know is essentially how he gets bitched in the movie and a very small amount of who he is.
So that's something that people want explored. Yeah. Anyway, it was a good flick. I liked it. Go watch it. I'll watch it again. It was an entertaining ride.
Cool.
It was a good popcorn.
Cool.
Movie.
Yeah, I'm very excited to. Like I said, there's a few movies here that I need to freaking watch. It just hasn't happened just due to life stuff. So which is
do you got a story for me, Dane, or are you gonna save this?
Oh, I got the start of a story.
Okay.
Let me tell you. So, a couple weeks ago, if you're listening to our podcasts, I picked up an Essentials phone, and that phone probably has some of the best hardware on any device I've ever touched. It's amazing.
Hey, you were pretty happy on Cloud 9 with it.
I'm super happy about it. Like it's awesome. I love it. It's great.
There's a big butt coming, isn't there?
Well, so literally just short of 2 weeks of me owning that phone, there's all these rumors swirling around that Essential is currently having money problems.
Sweet.
And that they are currently shopping to try and get more funding and possibly put themselves up for sale.
Rad.
Now, as somebody who's, going to own a phone for at least, a year and a half, probably closer to 2 years, that's concerning to me because in my experience, companies, this has bit me before. I've bought items that were supposed to be really cool and awesome, and then they either got dropped or support got lost for them shortly thereafter, and then I'm stuck with this thing that is now essentially a paperweight because I can't do anything with it. Now, don't get me wrong. Just because a phone isn't going to get an update or whatever doesn't mean it's still not going to do pretty much everything that I would want it to do. But if I'm planning on keeping it for 2 years, there's going to be updates that I'm going to want. I'm going to want security updates. I'm going to want there's stuff that I'm going to definitely want to see. And especially if like there is something that they find out that's a big problem and suddenly that company's no longer around, then I'm just SOL because like, well, sorry, nobody, like the company that you bought your phone from is just gone or they got bought and the company that bought them is like, nope, we don't want to deal with any of that. So we're just going to shut it down. And we can do that because we didn't release that product. As we've saw with like Pebble and like with the Fitbit thing with Pebble, right? They're just like, yeah, we're just going to shut Pebble down and we're going to stop development. And everybody that owns a Pebble watch, well, you're kind of fucked. And we don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
So the thing is, for me, is that I was in a position where I could return my device. Because that's the position that I was in. I was like, luckily, I found out that stuff close enough to my provider. I'm allowed to return devices within 15 days. As long as it's within that 15-day window, then they will take back the device. Pretty much no questions asked, obviously, as long as it's still in really good shape and you have the box and all the accessories, etc., etc. So I did. I thought long and hard about it, and I decided on Sunday that I was going to take it back.
Oh, wow.
And so I did. I took it back, which it was sad, but also I was just like, you know what? I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck with a phone that potentially could be problems down the road.
Yeah, so, and I mean, and who knows?
So,
my luck, chances are, like, 2 years from now, they'll still be releasing updates, and I'll be sitting here going like, fuck, I should have kept it.
So, the big question is, did you get a replacement, or are you just holding off now?
I have actually ordered a replacement. It will be here on Friday.
Is it a surprise?
Yeah, you got to tune in next week to find out what I decided upon.
Okay.
Yeah, little,
nice.
Tune in next week.
Okay.
Find out what I decided upon.
Well, with that teaser, I guess we can put this one put this podcast to bed.
There you go.
You can follow me on Twitter at RickF, no K, RICF.
You can come hang out with me on Twitter at Dane Cody at DAYNECODY.
Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. What do you do on Instagram? Is that follow as well? Sure.
Yeah, you follow,
sounds about right.
Post photos.
We're Geekoholics everywhere. We're not hard to find. With an O, Geekoholics. And we'll come right up.
If you like us a lot.
And of course,
you can find us and rate us on Apple iTunes.
Or the Apple Podcast app. And of course, if you enjoyed the show, share us with a friend. Go, hey, have you heard of these two Canadian dorks who talk about video games?
I am not a whale's penis. How dare you?
Is that what that is?
Did you not know that? Yeah, a dork is a whale's penis.
I didn't know that. Well, that's a huge penis.
Dork.
Who doesn't want to be a huge penis? Unless it's like a tiny whale. We're talking like huge whale, right?
Well, I mean, like, let's be honest. I don't think that there's very many small whales.
Okay, well, we're a bunch of huge penises. This sounds pretty awesome. Anyway. So, you come back for entertainment like this.
Quality.
I think next week we should do our E3 prediction podcast, seeing that is the week before E3.
That seems like a pretty good idea.
And obviously thank you everyone for listening and checking us out. Until next week, we are out.
Later.